सुनो मेरी क्रीम खत्म हो गई है।
Okay, so what we'll do is we'll just start, and then folks that trickle in later, they'll be allowed to enter. So, folks, welcome back to the India Alumni Series. We're super excited to have you guys here. We have a wonderful friend of Full Sail and an amazing alumni, Divika, with us today, who's going to share her journey and some of the fabulous work that she's done in the industry. For those of you that are joining us for the first time, welcome. We look forward to seeing you in future events as well. If you could do me a favor and just keep your mics on mute until after the presentation, which is when we'll open up for Q&A. You can either ask your question when prompted, or you can type it into the chat box and we'll ask it for you. So yeah, without further ado, enjoy the session. Devika, again, thank you so much. Take it away.
Welcome. Okay, awesome. Hi, everyone. Welcome. I'm so excited to do this because I love Full Sail. Let me just start off by saying that. And it's just been really amazing and full circle to come around and be able to come here and sit here on the other side, of the screen where I was years ago as a student or a prospective student and thinking about, oh my gosh, is this something I could do, and having all these big dreams in front of me. And now I'm sitting here kind of doing exactly that and being the voice of, of hope and motivation. And I'm living proof that it works and it's an amazing experience. So this is my journey. Just to start off with, I was in the 2011 batch and I graduated from the entertainment business program. And this is how it started. So right now I am currently working in Bangalore. I live here. I have my 2 cats and I live in Indiranagar, which is a beautiful area. It's also full of lots of places where companies and startups have their offices. So it's been incredible to get to really see how even now I've used all of my skills that I learned at Full Sail in jobs even to this day and age. And that's been over a decade. Oh my God, I feel old. That was a long time ago. But overall, my experience has really been a blend of, things to do with running my own business and entrepreneurship, working in the tech industry, especially, with video games and with computer companies and also with edutech recently. Working in the design bracket in the sense of whether it was marketing and branding and then later on UX and UI. Did that for a long time for lots of different MNCs and smaller companies, bigger companies, and then in the entertainment world, which is something that I'm really, really passionate about. And I worked in MPC film in that capacity. I'll get on it later, but I've worked in the film industry. I worked in the video game industry for a while. And that's just an amalgamation of everything that I was also taught in my degree. So I had no idea how it was all going to come together, but it just somehow did. And I guess that's the magic of Full Sail. So after graduating, I just also want to say that I've lived and worked in the UK, in the US, in Canada, and obviously back home in India. And that's where I'm at now. So let's just kind of get into this and I'll explain a little more about my work. And then we go into the actual Full Sail experience, because that way you'll see that this is everything that I could do because of the degree that I did. And I wouldn't have had it any other way. But did I see it mapping out like this at that point? No, I didn't. And that's why it's important for you guys as prospective students to just get that clear picture, because this is the real deal. I mean, it's my story and it's 100% honest. So here we go. When it comes to technology, I worked with companies like Alienware, GoPro, and Telefonica. Alienware was my first ever job right out of Full Sail. I got an internship with them. It was between working with Alienware and with Rockstar Games right after my degree. A few years later, when I moved back to India, actually, I worked for GoPro in a contractual capacity, and I was handling their India chapter for them in big ways. And then, they ended up kind of moving into different parts of Asia, but it was an incredible experience. And I still remember them saying, that the fact that they saw Full Sail on my resume really struck a chord, because they've also worked with people from Full Sail before. So there was that trust factor. With Telefonica, their company in London, they're kind of like the same capacity as O2. So they're a telecom company, incredibly huge in Spain as well. And that I did lots of video, strategies and different sorts of things with them, worked on huge projects for YouTube. Our work got about 1 million views each on different videos. So those were the tech companies, which are proper based in things to do with the future technologies that I've worked with. In entertainment, I've worked with MPC Film. That was in Vancouver, Canada. And if you don't know who MPC is moving picture company, and they're a Technicolor baby. And they were created for the need of finding visual effects teams, which were the best in the world during the Harry Potter films, actually. So that's how MPC was born. And they also have offices so it's Canada and the UK. And I got a job at MPC there. And I worked on films like Furious 7 for a bit. I worked on lots of Warner Brother films because they're very closely linked. The Finest Hours, Maleficent 2, Suicide Squad very briefly again, and things like that. I've forgotten the names now, but I can give you a full list. But very, very big Hollywood budget films. And The Office had, Oscars and everything lining the walls. So that was really an amazing experience. Right after, when I came back to India, I became head of marketing and community engagement for a space called Shunya in Bangalore, which is one of Asia's premier performing arts spaces. And it's incredible what they do. They bring in people who are dancers, creators, body movement therapists, things that you wouldn't usually hear of, or that's quite alternative. And they put it all under one roof in the most incredible way. And I was lucky enough to work there for a solid, I think almost a year, and learned a lot. Before that, I worked and learned. I won this entrepreneurial hunt. It's funny to say that, but it was a reality TV show by MTV and Levi's, and that was looking for the next entrepreneur, the next young thing that would take on the company called SAB Miller's launch in India, and they're the beverage company. So most of the beer you drink is owned and run by SAB Miller. I don't think they run here anymore. But that was, again, huge. That was right after I graduated. So you can see that my work has always been quite diverse and all over the place. But at the same time, there's a string of cohesiveness, which is that it needs to be solid. It needs to be very front-facing, very, very open, very powerful, and very creative at the core of it. So it's that blend of business and creative energy that is just absolutely fun to work in. So when it comes to design, I'm a very visual person as much as I have a strong logical side. I love thinking in abstracts and color. And for me, design comes very easily, and I wanted to be in the branding world as well. And that's where, as a marketing girl, as a branding girl, I got to work with companies all across the board. I mean, I've just listed 4 here, which are Puma, Levi's, Ted, and Lush Cosmetics. But I've also worked for lots of different other bigger companies in smaller capacities. From Uber to Swiggy to this to that, all the big ones, just because once you get the ball rolling with the right work in design, your portfolio builds and you can apply for more roles. And again, what I learned at Full Sail really set me up for learning how to also go out there and get those roles. Then on my own, when it doesn't seem like I had enough time, but I still did, I still managed to find, this need and this really strong want to build my own brands and my own companies, because I found that there were certain things missing, whether it was in the art world or with entertainment. I found that we really needed to help people promote themselves and their own talent and give them a voice. And I started this organization called 420, or 420. And in Hindi, everyone probably knows 420 is when, you're naughty and you're up to no good. Kind of like from Harry Potter, where they mention the Marauders map, and it's like, I am up to no good, mischief managed. It was very inspired by that feeling. And what it was is it was a performing arts space where we would curate these events every 2 months and bring together the best new entrepreneurs, artists, dancers, thinkers, spoken poetry readers, you name it. They were under our roof and they had a stage and people just came. And it was the most beautiful experience of my life. And I would have never had the confidence to, go out there and be an entrepreneur if I hadn't done this degree again. And then about 8 years later, which was last year, I started my second company called Magic Mind. And this is a company I'm going to grow old with for the rest of my life. And it's absolutely in tune with what, again, that I learned in college. And it's a self-empowerment platform. So we're going to put up e-courses and then workshops, which hopefully we will do once this lockdown stuff is all done. And that's where we're going to have these beautiful courses where you can actually go online, learn how to cope with stress, anxiety, depression, how to not get burnt out at work in very quick, short, logical, no BS sort of ways, because we don't have time and we needed to learn these things when we were in school growing up, but we didn't. And especially my generation, I feel like we've reached this beautiful point of where the East meets the West, and we live with the analog and the digital world all in one, but we forget the basics and the core of how to just take care of ourselves and be there for other people, which is something that makes you very successful in business as well, in your personal lives, in your relationships. And it makes you an all-round success and tap into your best. So both my companies were very potential based. And how do we highlight that? Again, I know this is 4 different arenas, but each one in a lot of ways, like I said, is connected by that thread of just having an impact, being very visually beautiful, strong, and very current. So that's the work that I've done post my degree. And now I think it's time to kind of talk about the Full Sail experience. So let's just go back to the very beginning. And let's start about how I found out about Full Sail. So when I was applying for colleges and doing my whole undergrad search and situation, and even my postgrad, etc., I was that kid in school that came out with A+ grades, wanted to be at an Ivy League, thought I was going to do law one day. And then I did go to Harvard and I did a summer school program, a very short summer school program there in psychology. And I found that it just wasn't what I dreamt it would be growing up. It felt really disconnected. It wasn't one-on-one enough. It wasn't intimate. And at the same time, a few months before that, I had found Full Sail online when I was searching for business degrees. And business degrees with an edge, and that's when Full Sail came up. And I have no idea what drew me to it so much, because this is back in the day when online education and all of that was nowhere on the radar. But Full Sail was offering that even those days. So right away I could see that this was a school that was thinking about the future. They weren't stuck in their old archaic ways that I had felt about so many of the traditional colleges I had looked at. And I, got in touch with the team very quickly. I still remember his name. His name was Kendall. He was the most incredible admissions rep. And he really guided me through so many of my anxieties and my questions. I'm just like, wait, what is this? I've never heard about something like this before. And he explained the story of what Full Sail's ethos is all about. And that's just incredible. So Full Sail believes in this. They want you to come in and they want you to learn what you need to learn to get a good job and to do well in the real world. And I think that's, for a long time, the slogan was real world education. And it's absolutely on point. That's what they did. It was no nonsense, really tough, very quick, accelerated, because they wanted to make you go out there and start working and doing that. So I remember going, wow, this is something that really feels like me. It feels very proactive and very high energy. And also it just feels very well-rounded. Like everything that I read about, everything I saw, the degrees themselves, they were quite different, but they were still very solid careers that you could go into. It was the perfect blend of finding something that was creative and also very heavily based in logic and having a strong career. Because I was hell-bent that I wanted to be successful. I wanted to make a lot of money one day, and that's still true. I'm a very ambitious person. So I was really excited. I was like, sounds brilliant. I want to do this. Even the curriculum, I read through everything. Everything just matched. Everything felt like everyone was super open and kind and honest, and I appreciated that. So that takes me to the next question, which is, how did I tell my parents about this? Like, how do you go from, especially from Harvard, to something that's very alternative and not heard of at that point? Like, it's out there, it's different. And I think I did it the way that I usually do things, which is I make a presentation. So I listed out the pros and cons to my parents. I explained to them how I knew this was, very different from a traditional college. And because I am an Indian and I've grown up in India, I can totally relate how other students out there, a lot of you might be dealing with that, is this is something that's different from the regular path that most kids take, which is like going into a BBA or a BCom or a Mass Com or even a law degree or a doctorate. So how is this safe, right? Because Indian parents, they like keeping us a bit safe in terms of doing things that are tried and tested. So I made a presentation and I showed them what the pros and cons of it were, how it was different, how did it stand out, how big industries to do with, the degree I'm going into are, and how big they will be in the future. I mean, I showed them how video games is one of the biggest multi-billion-dollar industries there, and it still is till today. Even in current times like the lockdown, entertainment is thriving, right? Because everyone's at home, and it's something like food that people will always need because it keeps you going. It's something that gives you life and a laugh and something to escape into. So I told them about it, with a lot of conversations, a presentation or two, and then I made them talk to Full Sail, the team itself. I really went in depth. There was a lot of back and forth because it is a huge decision, and everyone needs to be on board and happy so that you're motivated when you leave and you go to school or when you start the program online. So finally, I think that, the way it came down to it was I kind of told them that I was very, very into it. And the more you tell your parents that this is something that's going to make you happy and that you love it, and you give them examples of other people out there who've also gone out and followed that path and made it, and also show them that the safety net of no matter what is always there, because the school is going to help you with a job or with everything you need later. The support is infinite. That is what I think finally made my parents agree. It wasn't just about the degree, it was about the post-degree. And that's the fact that I was also kind of joining a family. It wasn't just another college with, yes, they would have a network and a Sigma Alpha, this, that, frat party. Well, this was different. This is very industry-based. People were very professional, and they were there to help each other because they really understood how hard it is sometimes to be in a degree or in a career that's not looked at the same way as some traditional degrees. You don't find competition. You don't find people like coming out there to try to bring you down. You find people coming up there to bring you up. So that's what made me finally pick Full Sail, was that everything, I could look at it and it felt more like entering an experience and some kind of a cocoon where I was going to emerge as someone new and something different than doing a typical 4-year liberal arts degree or a 3-year BBA at an Indian school, because that just didn't make me feel like it was special for some reason, right? Now, the course, I mean, that's also the biggest thing. Nowhere else, I think, in the world at that point could you find the entertainment business degree. And even now, I think only 2 or 3 schools outside of Full Sail offer it. I think it's UC Berkeley, and I think one school somewhere in Singapore, but none of them, also I checked the curriculums, nothing came close to having that mix of left brain, right brain, in terms of the modules, in terms of the courses. And I'll get into that later in the next segment, but that's exactly what I fell in love with, was the degree itself, and that I was getting, a science degree in something. It just blew my mind that I was getting that in one package. And the admissions process was absolutely smooth. It was awesome. I never had any stress. No stress, which you have with every other college, because there's so much paperwork, there's so many this, that, and Full Sail's open about when it comes to your degree, your marks, or your portfolio. And every other school I had applied to, because I was so hell-bent on going to Ivy Leagues and being, on the top of the list. I had done the SATs, whichever exams I had to do, and I was always worrying about my marks. And because we've grown up here where your 10th and your 12th, your board exams are like, everyone goes into shutdown, like they don't let you go out. There's so much pressure. Coming from that into a world where they were like, no, we want to see the full Devika. We want to see why do you want to be here? What is, the kind of things that drive you, and what are you passionate about? And obviously you have to have good enough grades to get in, but it's also about your portfolio, your passion, and those three things combined is what Full Sail looks at. So it was really interesting, and not at one point did I ever wait for someone to reply. Was there ever a lag? The team was really responsive. Everyone answered all of my questions. In fact, they gave me more information sometimes than I had even asked for, which was helpful, really, really helpful. So they're incredibly proactive as an admissions team. And I can only imagine how it is now, because I'm talking about 2011. So this was when, they probably didn't have the biggest international outreach at that point. People, it was still a smaller group, but it was fabulous. And now we have people like Anu and Kash and everyone on it, and it's just incredible because we've become a family, and there's just sort of this unspoken like love and unity for each other. As strange as that might sound, I'm not being floofy. It's real. It's definitely what it actually is like. So yeah, overall the beginning was very positive. I was really intrigued and excited. I was also nervous about taking that step. But as I spoke to people more and more, and as I got more information, all of that data really helped me put it all together. So that was the beginning. And now it brings me to the next thing, which is the classes. So the classes for me, actually, when you look at the modules, I don't know what I just did. Okay. So when you look at the modules of the classes, I would suggest, depending on the degree you're looking at, please do talk to your, admissions counselor, or even look at the website. It has everything listed. Go through every module and subject, because that's what your degree is going to be made of. And when I looked at the entertainment business profile, I was absolutely smitten, because it has a mix of all of those creative elements that help you become your own creator independently. They taught me how to use softwares from Final Cut Pro to GarageBand to so basically film, music, design, Adobe, the entire suite. I learned every technical skill I needed to be a creator, which is incredibly important, even if you're in the production side later, because you need to understand what your artist is doing. And then at the same time, it was very business heavy. So I had everything from business to strategy to eco to finance. It was everything that you'd get in a business degree, mixed with a degree in the creative arts, not just in the film industry, not just for the music industry, but for all of the entertainment industries across the board. So you could be on this side of the fence or this, and you'd be just as strong. That was what I found incredible. In terms of the actual execution of the classes, they were about a month long. And the reason why every subject was about a month long is because they were really intense, right? It wasn't like it was over a 3-month semester. You had to learn the same amount of work that a normal student could do over 2-3 months in 1 month, because they're making you learn that quickly. They're making you do projects. You're with your group and your team on all of the subjects and all the assignments. And you come together and you work how you'd work later on in office. You work how you'd work when you've got a job. So that just sets you, it's a high learning curve, but once you get used to it, you're going to be so much better at work, and then your colleagues at like your output time and your performance, that you're going to have a really solid edge, and it gives you a confidence boost unlike anything else. So the next question, which is homework and assignments. This was really fun. I absolutely loved doing my homework and doing assignments, because it wasn't just your traditional, assignment kind of, here's a paper, fill in this, you have to submit this. Yes, there were lots of those. There was a lot of that, but there was so much group activity. Even though it might have been online for most part, I was connecting with my classmates. We had forums, we had messaging boards, we had abilities to stay in touch. We were put into groups for different assignments. We had to work together. We had to like collaborate. And even in those days when, you know, there wasn't like a Zoom thing all the time, and we didn't really think about the online world as a classroom, the 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 platform itself, the software that they built and used and gave to us to use was amazing, absolutely awesome. How much time did I put in every day or week? That's I put in at least, I think, an hour or so a day or a week. Sorry, every day. So like, actually, much more. I'm a geek though, so I loved it. It really depends on your program. I think that you just should put in at least an hour or two a day when you're studying, just because it really helps you stay in that state of mind. And since you're doing courses that are every month and they change, you want to really dive into that subject because you're not going to be there for too long. So you want to absorb it as best as you can. So my answer would be actually put in as much time as you can into what you are studying. So my favorite part about class was the diversity of the subjects in my degree. I had lots of different things to pick from. I think the only thing that I really craved more of was, you know, group activity and meeting my peers. But in those days, I don't think the softwares were also there for lots more interactivity the way it is now. But even then, we did find ways to interact, and I'm still friends with 6 of my friends from my batch. You know, so we still keep in touch. We're still on Facebook together. I met a couple of them later on in my life when we were in North America and similar places. It was really lovely. I even went for one person's wedding. And so this is all from all from that degree. So if that's something that could happen even then, I can't imagine how wonderful and interactive it would be now. Okay, so the next thing is, if it was flexible. Absolutely. And that is such a beautiful part of this whole experience, is that you have the freedom to study when you want, where you want, and obviously you have to give in your assignments and things within deadlines. But for the most part, you can be in a comfortable place. You don't have to worry about a lot of other things. You save on so many expenses that way, and you still get a degree done, and it's super solid. So that way, the flexible part of it was absolutely amazing, still is, always will be. And so if you have more questions about classes, we can do that at the end, but I think I've covered most of that here. So now let's go to interactivity. So this is something that is important because we are discussing an online program, right? So is there student interaction? Yes, 100% yes. Whether it's through messaging boards and forums, whether it's through, also there is forced group discussions, like it's mandatory, you have to interact or you don't get the points you would get. So that's a really good way of making people that might forget or who are a bit lazy here and there to keep up and to step up their game. And I was interacting with my batchmates all the time. So you also are put in a new batch every month in terms of different classes from different degrees might have overlapping subjects. So when you're both in that subject, you might have someone from a film degree and someone from an entertainment business degree both doing intro to finance or whatever it might be. And it's so wonderful because what that does is, it is the next question. How do you network? You network right there. You have a ready-made group of people that are going into the same industry as you, and you meet new batches every month. So if you spend time actually like just getting to know them or being friends with them even a little bit, you can reconnect with them later. And then you have this huge pool of peers that you rev at the end of the course. And you've all been in class together. You've all done something together. So you're friends. And that is the best way to also reach out later and say, hey, I'm looking for a role. I'm looking for a job. Or they'd be willing to help you because you guys studied together, right? So the next thing is, how do you apply, you know, the sort of things that you learn through interacting online with your classmates in real life? And I think that this time that we're living right now is a perfect example. When you're locked down or when you can't do a traditional 9 to 5 hour where you meet people in office every day, you've got to flex those other skills, and digital skills are everything. The future is definitely going to be more remote. The working style is going to be more from home, or you know, just the whole world is going to have, you're going to have teams of people from everywhere. And that's where learning how to do that, even when you're studying, will give you a sense of discipline and a sense of understanding those waters and how to navigate it much better than anybody else from a traditional degree. And that's what it did for me. And it also makes you realize how powerful connecting over technology can be. So that's incredible. Now, next step is obviously, because it's an online program, the first thing you're going to say is, oh, but what if there's a glitch? What if something doesn't work? What if, you know, my computer doesn't run as well? Or, hey, what if I can't open this file? What if there's a, the team is so good at supporting you and addressing any technical problems that they were just there. They're responsive 100%. I never had to wait more than a few hours to a day for a reply. And I'm in India and they were in the US when I was doing the end of it. So it was, I never had any stress there. I think once or twice, some of the files didn't open on my Mac because I had an older version, and they were super helpful. They all figured it out. They all came, like I had the tech team on a group call figuring out, oh, this is the error. Okay, we'll send you a different file. And so I've never had to worry about the fact that I'm doing a degree, like, which is based online. Never had to worry about that. And none of the programs are very internet heavy. So you can have a very modest internet connection and you can still go through it really, really well. Okay, what were the hiccups I faced? So for me, sometimes I just used to feel like, wow, I wish I could just get this question answered right now, but my professor isn't here, he's sitting there. And the only way to kind of deal with that, and I think that has been bridged a lot because of time and because of the way tech has expanded and kind of grown, is to find, you know, a quicker way to text them or to have like a social media connection. And that's what is already happening now. So I think that hiccup has been bridged by by just the future and like how time moved on. So being more in touch with you know, my teachers in a more like instant way is something I really wanted, and I think that you guys will all have that if you join now, because it's so much more advanced, right? And how I used to deal with that is I used to just make quick post-its with my questions so I wouldn't forget, because that's something that happens is when you're working and studying alone, you might have a lot of ideas or questions and you may forget to write them down. And no technology can help you there. So you need to just make sure, whether it's on the notepad, on your laptop, or you're on your phone, or even pen paper, just make sure every time you think about something that you need to answer later or you need to get solved, you quickly write it so you don't forget it. But otherwise, in interactivity and in terms of the tech, it was very, very fun. Okay, now I've kind of touched on what the course was about and how it went along, but I also needed to mention this because I think it's important. The prerequisites, or the things that you need to kind of imbibe and bring to the table to be an online student, and things to just be mindful of, because these are things we can all do if we're just aware of them and we just know that, okay, this is something I need to focus on a little more. I wish someone had told me that then, but there was no one else because I was one of the few first batches that started out. So I had to figure it out myself. So I think the first thing is you have to remember that you've got to be proactive. So you won't have someone waiting there, you know, at an 8 a.m. class for you, and you won't have like attendance marked off if you don't turn up at that time. So there's no one motivating you to get your butt out of bed. You've got to do it yourself. So self-discipline is huge, and it's a trait that if you learn and if you master that and you know how to motivate yourself at home, no matter what, you can do anything. It is a superpower. It is something that will help you at work, at any level, even in your relationships, or even how you feel about yourself, and it'll increase your resilience, which is just incredible. It also helps you stay on track. And the way to do that is to become a brilliant time manager. You've got to plan your days and your hours of studying. You've got to plan your hours of homework, and you've got to stick to your schedule and put reminders on all of your apps and gadgets. So I used to do this then when we didn't have, you know, a lot of these things. So there's no excuse now. In fact, there's some really fun apps that kind of go crazy until you go do the task you're meant to and shut it off. So I think you can find one of those if motivation is hard. And what could make this, like, think about when you're going through this process, think about yourself and think, what could make this easier for me? Because as much as I might be giving, you know, general advice here, we're all very different people. I'm someone that likes being very self-driven and self-started. I don't like taking a lot of, you know, rules, or I don't like authority way too much. So it comes easily to me. But I know a lot of my friends and classmates who like being given a lot of direction. and they feel easier and safer in that way. So for them, what they would have done in a situation like this is really go ham on those schedules and those plans, and make that, like, have someone come in as a study buddy, and someone who can constantly like reach out and say, hey, did you do your thing today? How is that going? Something that keeps track of them, and pushes them to do it. And this way you're going to have to think about yourself a bit and see where you can improve, and where you could also evolve more. And that way you'd make it much smoother for yourself, because you'll know your little setbacks and hurdles that no one else will know, only you will. So the minute you clear those out, it'll be amazing. Another prerequisite which I listed here was, how do you approach your parents? Because since we are, it is a slightly expensive school. It's a degree. These are degrees that parents sometimes get nervous about because it's to do with the film industry and whatnot. And the mindset here is very different. People, our parents don't understand that there is a world outside of here which is very, very strong, and the entertainment industry is a proper business. It's not just Bollywood, it's not just dancing or having fun in shamak davar classes, as much fun as that is, but they kind of limit it to that. And it's very unfair and very sad, because they forget how powerful people in that industry can be, how much money they make, how much they climb the ranks. And especially in a social media world where you are your own brand as well. If you learn how to market yourself and be an industry which is front facing and consumer facing and very social media heavy, you've automatically become successful. And it's really there's a lot of money to be made. There's so many avenues to explore compared to a normal industry. So when you approach your parents, I also think that it's really important to keep those things in mind about yourself and about whether you can also do that. And when you feel strong about that, you'll be able to have a very strong debate when you go in front of them. So it just all ties up. So that's also something you need to go in with if you're going to do this. Okay. And you'll have to keep doing that, by the way, even when you're going through and then you go to the next point with your career or applying for jobs, you need to educate them on how amazing and big this industry you're entering is, whether it is film or art or video games or anything in the Full Sail world. Okay. Another thing which is very important is the numbers, like the finance side of things, and how great is this in terms of a success scale for you later. So the main thing we think about when we're going to college in any capacity is this going to help me in my future? Is this a good investment? What is the ROI? And with Full Sail, because you have to keep that in mind, I'm telling you straight away, it is an incredible investment. It is something that's so unique and so strong and so different that it automatically opens doors for you. And people don't realize that, because we always try to go to the safer path because it's more tested and more tried. But the point is, there's so many people on that path that it kind of, your average success rate is almost lower. But if someone in a slightly more niche path and you do really well and you have a segment for yourself and you kind of become your own, you have a monopoly in that space, automatically all your numbers will go up as well. You'll be making a lot more money. And I am a testament to that. That touch wood, so far, everything has been incredibly great, because I don't have a generic traditional run-of-the-mill degree on my resume. It's a talking point. It opens doors for me. It makes me confident. It makes me feel like I bring a perspective to the table that somebody else can't. And that really helps you with just feeling motivated about yourself. And in terms of post your Full Sail degree, if you want to go to school again somewhere else, the degrees are completely recognized. They're absolutely accredited. I went and did my master. I did a master's in interaction design after this in Emily Carr University in Vancouver, Canada. And I had absolutely no issues. Lots of colleges that I applied to, all of them accepted the degree completely. Even in India, they do accept the degree. You just have to get, I think, your GPA, the CGPA, something, there's a conversion of some sort, so that it's, it's read in a way that's more thing for India. But the scope of jobs and everything of that sort as well is incredible. The industries are huge. The best way to see that is to do a bit of research and just see how many billions of dollars in revenue the entertainment world brings in. And the university itself is ranked so highly in these fields that when you start working later, or when you start talking to people later, you'll notice the minute you mention Full Sail, they'll just be, oh my God, Full Sail, like they light up. And in fact, I reconnected with Full Sail a few years ago at a Comic-Con event, and they had a booth there. And I remember seeing it and going, oh my God. And I'll just never forget how many other students were also just kind of fluttering about, going, this is amazing. This looks like it's not real. Like, how can this place exist? And I'm like, it does, and it did, and I'm still so happy about it. So the reputation's great, not just with the industry, but even with other students and other people. So all around, 5 stars. Opportunities. What can you do after your program? You can do anything in your industry of choice, because you are going to have a degree that is really, really strong and unique. And that's also the next part, which is it gives you that solid advantage, because you come into the door not from, if you're, let's say you're doing film, you could go to a USC or an NYU and do all of that and spend 4 years. But with Full Sail, you can graduate in 2. You have 2 years that you save, and time is of the essence, trust me, especially with this work, because it's not as much about your degree, it's also about your output. How fast can you do this? How quick can you do this? And also, do you understand the skills required? Do you know these technicalities? Do you know what a grip is? Do you know and all of that stuff is taught so well and so in depth that I think that because it's quicker, you're learning it much faster. It's literally like an immersive experience. And the opportunities post the program are just great. So once I started getting into the last 3 months of my program, I got in touch, the career services team got in touch with me and said, hi, what are your plans? Do you want us to help you? And I know that locally they do have, these little education events where they, I don't know what it is now, but I remember even then, I used to get so many invites to like career day and like graduation career day sort of thing, where they'd have different companies come in and they would talk to you and you'd get introduced and you could network, and they had networking events and like meet and greets. So there's a lot that's happening. And now that everything's going online, I'm sure that those meet and greets and those networking events will be online as well. So that's how you get placed. And it's also about being a bit proactive, keeping in touch with your professors, telling them that you're looking for a role in about a month or 2, and they will connect you. They will know the people, because these are people in the industry working in it day in and day out. And that's also how the university actually doesn't just help you kickstart your career, they also help you even later on. Like now I'm still sitting here and I'm still being able to use everything I learned at Full Sail to even further the effect and the impact of my work. And it's not just about making money and having a paycheck and coming home. When you're in these industries of film or creative energy or like music, you're working on something that lives forever. And at the same time, it's changing someone, it's inspiring someone. And in a way, you also kind of have to imbibe that. Your work isn't just about your work, it's about what's the next step. How does this translate into someone's life? So you should really just think about all of that as an opportunity as well. Okay, the takeaway, and this is the best part in my opinion, is almost everything that came with the degree after the degree. I have had unrelentless 100% support from everyone at Full Sail from the time I left. And till today, I'm still in touch with so many of them, and I keep getting introduced to new people at the Full Sail family who are so wonderful. I just met Krista and I think Barbara last week when we did another, quick one, another quick webinar. So it's just amazing, and new people keep joining. And because we're all in the same industry and we're quite like a small group of, it's kind of like our own little world. We're all really connected, and automatically there's this kinship, and you can reach out to someone else who's also an alumni that you've never spoken to, and he or she would be super happy and really open and friendly. So that sort of network opportunity even later is just beautiful. Full Sail's brand value and reputation in the world of entertainment is unparalleled. You can't compare. It is the Ivy League of like entertainment schools. And I think that's also one of the reasons I switched over, was because I saw its quality. I saw how it felt to be there, and it makes you feel good. You feel really like proud to be from Full Sail, because no one else is doing what Full Sail does. Just nobody is. And it's that mix of the skills you will get. You won't be someone that's just very textbook and theoretical. You've kind of really done the practicals. You've been given tough deadlines. You've had to be a creator. You one day had to be working on, creating a film and a video output, or then the next day you're working on like a business docket, and you've done it, and they teach you how to do it, and you won't even think you have that in you, but at the end you do. So the takeaway is not just post course, it's post everything. It's through your career. And also it gives you the edge of having a job and a career in so many diverse ways that it's totally multifaceted. I mean, I'm just one example of that, but I know so many of my peers who've gone ahead to do incredible things, working, whether it's with Grammy musicians or working in on the road, like with shows. Like I had one of my classmates, he was still touring with U2 for the last like 4 years. He was with Linkin Park before that. He was with the biggest rock bands, and I couldn't believe that a job like that even existed, and neither could he. But he wouldn't have gotten that if it weren't for Full Sail. So sometimes it's also about expanding what you even know is possible, and that's what Full Sail is. That's the thing, and it sets you up for a really unique life path. And I don't know what's more fun than that, because you just get one life, and we're just here for a short time. So I think it's really important to kind of, I don't know what that squiggly thing on the screen was. It's really important to just remember that this is not just a degree. It's so much more. The campus is absolutely stunning. If you can go, you must visit it. It has the most beautiful film set at the back, and it has the most high-tech equipment when it comes to the studios and the production sets and everything. And people are just walking around. There's all sorts of people in suits, and really like suit and tie guys, and then people with colors in their hair and everything else. So it's a lot of fun. It's just everything in one. It's a motley crew of creativity and of business, and everyone's looking to be very successful. So if that sounds like something you would like to do, please do it. And please, I don't know who's doodling on the screen, but that's really funny. But yeah, that's basically what my experience was all about. And I think I've covered most of it. But if you have any more questions, or if anyone wants to kind of shoot that out now, I am open to answering anything. So yeah.
Thanks, Devika. This was more than amazing. Every time I meet you, the excitement you have when you talk of Full Sail. I still remember the first day we met in Comic-Con, remember? Oh my God. Wow. That itself showed how much you love Full Sail, and I thank you for that, always. We already have a few questions, but guys, you can start taking yourself off mute and asking questions. But I have one question for you, Devika, which we are generally asked. There seem to be a lot of reservations regarding online education, right? And you did it, like you took up that challenge many years ago. Can you shed light on taking an online degree and why you decided to take an online degree?
Right. So for me, I really wanted to work while I was studying, and I didn't want to stay in one place and have to go to class and do all of that. I wanted to work, and I wanted to build on my resume, and I wanted to do everything simultaneously. And I found that if I did an online degree, I would be able to do that. And I had already gotten some opportunities that came my way. So that was something that made me pick that. Also, another thing was there were some personal reasons at home, which made me want to stay with my mom and want to stay at home for a bit longer and not go abroad, but still get the online, like get a beautiful degree from abroad. And so that was another reason why I chose the online degree. And it gives you that edge, like, otherwise you're kind of stuck to a place and you have to go somewhere and you have to move thousands and thousands of miles away. And also for some kids out there, if you are someone that's anxious or you're a bit nervous about leaving home, this is a really nice way to bridge that gap. So you still get the degree from abroad, but you're in the safety of your home, because you're not, it depends. Some kids are 18 and they don't want to leave yet, but they want that experience, and the quality of the education is something you can't always get back home. So those were the 2 3 main things. But also I found that it was the way that Full Sail, I remember I was given a demo and I loved the way it was done. The quality of the software and the quality of the transcripts and the assignments didn't make me feel like anything was missing, or that I was missing out on something from a traditional, classroom environment. And a lot of my own doubts about it kind of shattered at that point, but you have to really explore it a bit to see that firsthand. So I think this is just like an awareness. I can help with awareness on that, but I also hope people kind of really give it a shot and test it out, because it's wonderful. Yeah.
Related to that, I have another question, because I know I'm asked that a lot of times, especially for the online classes. Did you get time with your faculty? Were they ever live with you, or were they just pre-recorded classes? And how did that work for you?
So they were live. There were sessions, I remember those days, where it was live. It wasn't a lot because, like I said, this is 10 years ago. And I don't think we had the kind of coordination, like softwares and things like that, to have people from different countries all Zoom in at the same time. But we still had lots of live interactive sessions. We had hours in the week where you would be set up to talk with your professor one-on-one, and Skype in with them and talk to them, so you could actually interact. And it wasn't just like you log on and you just have the videos and the assignments. It was far more than that. It was. And you could also ask for more time. So let's say they allocate just X number to you. I was that kid who, like, some classes, I just had too many questions. So I would just say, hey, this is my questions. And the professor himself would be like, let's just talk on Skype, and I will go through each of these things with you. And I remember, especially during one of my garage band, I think it was my music classes, one of the professors screen shared with me and showed me exactly how to edit and how to work it. And it was awesome. So, it's very interactive. It's live.
Wow. I have 2 questions pretty much similar. I don't know if you can answer. Maybe you can help. Otherwise, I'll help. Is it possible to do a distant online program in a subject which is best taught in practical or hands-on? How practical was your degree? Otherwise, I'll take the rest of the question.
My degree, so since it was an entertainment business degree, it was, I guess with business, you can still do it online and you can do a lot of it without having to practically do something. But at the same time, I think if I was doing just like a full-fledged, like if it's a very practical course, like let's say something like cooking, or something where I have to use my hands all the time and it's a feeling thing, I have to taste stuff, then obviously I would say it would be limiting. But when it's a degree where you're learning softwares and you're learning technical aspects and things that you can practice creatively on a computer as is, and you will have to use a computer as it is later on too, it's fine, because it actually preps you harder and faster. You don't have that crutch of lots of people around you all the time to kind of like, hey, what do you do? No, you figure it out yourself, which is also incredible.
Also, I'll add to that, Full Sail is aware of the practical use of labs and studios. So there are some degrees which we offer only on campus. And we definitely know things like a master's in film production, we are not offering online. That's a master's. Or a master's in game design, we will not offer online, because we know the essential use of the labs and studios. But the degrees which are designed for online, definitely, like Devika's already mentioned, you can do things online. So we are aware of what we can give online, or what can work online and on campus, and Full Sail has been leading in the online programs. Hope that answers the question from Himanshu and Sai Prabha, I think. Yeah. Raghav has a question. Did you do a bachelor's or a master's? Do they teach design software as Adobe Suite in master's too? Would you be able to take that?
I don't know if they do. I'm pretty sure they would. I'm definitely sure they would. I did a bachelor's and I was taught that, but I think that's something that you could ask one of the admission counselors for sure. And I think even if you don't, like the thing with Full Sail is if you say, I don't think I have enough information in this, can you help me? Could I get like an intro course? They'll help you. They'll give you that extra information and get you up to par.
Yeah. Please get off mute, and please, you can please ask a question always.
Bye, Srinivasa.
Yeah, bye.
Oh, but he
Hello.
sent that to me privately, so no one saw that. Oh, hi.
Yes.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yes, absolutely.
Chirantan, I can.
Yeah. So later you told that Full Sail is top of that entertainment colleges in like जितने भी colleges हैं. So I just wanna ask कि there is a common trend going on in the gaming industry of crunching. Like the workers are overly doing their job and are not being paid
Right.
for that. Yeah. So
Right.
how does this Full Sail college help that to solve, or does it support or does it not? Like how can this college help in improving that? Because there is a lot of problems regarding that. Like
Oh, for sure. Hello?
I didn't hear the last part.
I heard most of it. I think you got cut off at the end of it, Chirantan. But can you hear us? You can hear us? Okay, so I'll just kind of address that super quick then if you can hear me. That's a really good point. The video game industry, especially a few years ago, there was a big thing in the news about how they were making people in that industry work like there was a sweatshop and it was really hard and they were given really bad hours. However, a reform also did come in for, rights for people in the industry. But the way Full Sail can help you with that is when you're applying and choosing the company to apply for, Full Sail will make sure that they push the companies to you that have really high rankings for employee well-being, for respecting them, for having the right amounts of, the packages and the good right work hours. So that's something that you need to look at also when you're applying to specific companies. There will always be good guys and bad guys. In any industry, in any field. So you look for the company that respects you and that treats you well. And you do that by researching the company, by seeing how, other people who had experiences that talk about it. So there are lots of websites as well, like Glassdoor, things like that, where they're very frank about it. But Full Sail as well is very on top of that because they know that they want their students to go to places where they're taken care of, where they're respected, where they're not, worked to the bone. And so that's something that, yes, Full Sail will help you with, but you also need to be mindful of on your own and pick the right company. And that's true for anywhere, whether it's like in the tech industry or, in computers or in film or video games.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Did I answer your question? I hope I did.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Sweet.
While somebody else thinks of a question, I have a question here, which I think is helpful because we have a couple of people here who will love to have that. I see your variety in technology and entertainment and design and business. Traditionally, the moment somebody thinks of a business degree, I doubt if anybody can even think of the kind of variety of industries you worked in. Can you shed a little more light on that? Right? Because it's amazing. People really don't know there are those kind of jobs, right? And that's what we tell them. Come to this webinar, see what all one degree can give you, right?
That's true. And I think the one person that actually helped me a lot with that was one of my professors. I don't remember offhand what her name was. I will search it. She was one of the first few people who was in my first entertainment business intro course or something. And she told me that I want you to never worry about applying to jobs which might be different from what you are in right now, because in this degree, you're going to learn everything you need to know to apply within 4 big industries: technology, design, business, and I think and entertainment. So I just went, oh, okay, I can. And everyone outside always thinks of the fact that you have to have your resume on one path and one trajectory. And if you skip and jump around, that it actually puts off employers and you won't get hired. that's not the case at all. In fact, I think it's a power card. What you need to keep mindful of is that if you look at my companies that I've worked for, they're all really solid names and brands and really good companies in terms of their work ethos, and they're respected. So the minute you move within companies that are still of good light and are within a certain level of expertise and goodness, you will be fine, because you're moving within the creative and business side. And that's actually not, I didn't go into finance, I didn't go into the legal stuff, I didn't go into healthcare. So those are different industries that are quite far away. But when it comes to things like branding or marketing or being creative, you do blend it. And I even feel like business at the core of it is nothing but a lot of creativity, but with with logistics and operations and strategy. But that's what you're doing even in the production side of anything creative. So once you get into the world of working, you'll see how similar stuff is. And we just kind of assign different names to make it sound very different and fancy. But when you connect with the human on the other side of the person, of the screen, or whoever's hiring, and you talk about your story, you talk about what you know, and you want it and you're passionate about it, it opens doors and it works out. So I'm not sure if I answered the question.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So we have a question from Ankit. What, according to you, will be the outcome if bachelor students are given courses at a length instead of intense ones? Since it's a bachelor's degree, 20 months, right? Yours was 29 months or 20 months?
I think it was 21. Yeah, it was 21.
Yeah, but now they're 29 months. Can you take that?
Sure. I think that, see, honestly, I don't know what the additional courses that they've added on are. I guess they probably felt that there was some stuff that they should include because of probably how tech is updated, and then you need to know more of social media. I'm guessing things like that came in a bit more. But I think that as long as your degree is solid, it doesn't matter whether, as long as it's not like a 4-year, as long as you're doing it in like 2-3, you still have that time. You've saved at least a year compared to other people. But the length of the course, I'm sure that whatever the course length is, it's been tailored very perfectly, and you need to know all of those things. So I wouldn't kind of go there and question that too much. If it's not too much longer, like I guess this sounds like it's 6-7 months more, just enjoy it, because it's such a rewarding experience and you won't be a student again. And that 6-7 months or even 10 months, it won't make a world of a difference in your life later. But if it's more than like a year or like a year and a half, 2 years, you might feel it. It depends on how quickly you want to start working as well. So I think that because the more you spend time with something, the closer you get to it, obviously. So this just gives you more of that. I think the outcome will still be very strong regardless.
And I think it kind of prepares you for the world outside. There are no fixed timings the way I've seen you work on projects, which is also different from what the regular universities prepare you for. And I can see your beautiful cat there.
Really?
Yeah, she was right there. Yeah.
I have two, so they've been darting around. Sorry about that, guys.
Yeah. I think that's the difference between whatever I've spoken to with the alumni from Full Sail and maybe somebody else. I think everything what Full Sail does is prepare you for the real world outside, and we know the real world. At least in the fields which Full Sail specializes in, is not about a 9-to-5 job, right?
Yeah. No, film goes on till 3-4 in the morning, whether you're in Hollywood, Bollywood, anywhere. I mean, yeah, and then even otherwise though, like if you can learn how to be tough and headstrong, and learn how to do that now, you'd be so good at work later. Because I used to see other people from bachelor's degrees and stuff at the same workplace, and they would just feel like they hadn't done anything. They really were out of their depth. And I came in and I was the one kind of like saying, no, I'm going to be that. I'll take it on. Because that leadership thing comes in from Full Sail. You become a leader. Yeah.
Perfect. We have a question from Himanshu again. Business of entertainment may be different in different countries. Will this program guide with that level of information?
a really good question, Imanshu, because I mean, we are in India and you know how the entertainment industry here is different. Having said that, yes, it teaches you very similar production lines. It teaches you how the steps of, you know, a creation go. It teaches you the business part of it as well, and the documents and this is what a production team does, this is what they are. So in India, I found that the only difference actually with the entertainment industry here and there it's more structured and more corporate. Here it's still a little more cyclic, and it's a bit more like everyone has to know someone, and then it's a little more flexible and fluid. But that's also how India does business a bit, isn't it? Like we're a bit more informal. We have IST, which is our Indian Standard Time, where everyone always comes a little bit late. Abroad, it's a lot more strict. It's a lot more professional and refined. And the infrastructure, obviously, because it is abroad, they have money to put in to really push that and do that. But look at what India's done now. Look at the quality of our content. Look at the professionalism that has come in. Because over the last 10 years, people like me and people, you know, from other schools, which are also entertainment related, we've come back home. We've brought back all those things we learned about Western, you know, the Western way of doing entertainment business, and obviously executing it. We've brought that home, and we're doing it here. So it's a nice mix. I think that it's actually like learning at Full Sail is like learning the advanced level, and in India it's somewhere a bit lower because we're still getting there. But you'll have the skills of the advanced level, so you have an edge straight away.
Namrata has a question. She says her mic is creating a little problem. Having done a course online, how were you able to find placements, and how did you go about it? Please throw some light on that. I was going to ask something about the career support team anyway. Good. Okay. Perfect. Thanks, Namrata.
Thanks. That's a really good question. I think that also is that's a determining point for a lot of people with the course itself. So like I had mentioned earlier, there is a career services team at Full Sail, and they reach out to students, and you can still reach out to them even after you're done. So they reached out to me a few months before I graduated, asking me what my plans were like, asking me if I'd like to apply there, if I needed help with roles. And so I had those conversations. I actually spoke to someone like a career mentor, and he and I went through a lot of he asked me lots of questions about the future. Where do I see myself? What kind of roles do I like? He made me even log on and research and look at like listings on, I think those days was monster.com, and look at roles that I liked and see what are they looking for from a person. So he really guided me about how to look for jobs and everything. And he was my Full Sail teacher. It was Full Sail gave him to me to like help me with that. And then I remember thinking about how I wanted to work with video games. I wanted to start off there. So I applied to a bunch of places, and I got responses from, I think, 9 out of 10 places. And then I picked. So obviously, and I think the fact that I had a degree that was so specific to that industry as opposed to just a normal business degree, it really gave me that edge. That's why everyone responded. And I worked for Alienware right after my degree. And I turned down, it was between Rockstar and Alienware, like I had said, because I love Rockstar games. And they were a really big company, especially in those days. I don't know if they're still around, but Alienware is still Alienware. I think them and Razer lead, computer gaming consoles at home, PCs. So in that way, I had those doors open for me those days, and I was an 18-year-old girl from India. So it was baffling to me that it even happened, but it did. And so I had a mix of proactive, job searching on my own, and also having a lot of help from Full Sail. And I think, Anu, yeah, you can probably talk about what they do now, right? For placements and for like education.
Yeah, so
things like that.
It's pretty much what you experienced. But yeah, I mean, we are improving on a lot of things. We've started doing, we have more network, more connections, thanks to our students getting placed in larger companies, bigger roles. So yeah, they keep pretty much helping every student. Doesn't mean if you're doing a degree online that you will not get the support. You get the same support. The only difference is you are either in the US or you are here in India, and but you still get all the support like Devika got. So yeah. We have a question from Himanshu. Does it include production, entertainment, or content and business side of it too?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. They teach you the hierarchies of what a production team is all about. So, you talk about coordinators at the base, and then you talk about managers, and then you talk about the head, and then you talk about how in like, I'm going to keep referring to film because I worked most in film. So but it's a very similar, skeleton for how it is in some of the other industries, whether it's music or video games, or things like that. So what I found is it's similar. You got to climb the ranks, and they will teach you at Full Sail what it means to be in different ranks. What are the different roles? They make you try different things like that. And it's explained very well, and you'll be given different assignments where you're tested in different parts, so that way you also kind of see which one you like doing. So for me, that's actually a great question, because that's when I realized I loved production. I thought I was more of a creative person, and I wanted to be like, maybe I'll be a director one day. But as I did the degree, I fell in love with the mechanics of the producing and the business, and how do we have this budget, how do we figure out where to allocate funds, how much do we need, how many camera operators do we need, how many actors. Okay, if this is the budget, we can only afford one 5-star actor, so we have to like get a couple of normal. It makes you understand the business finance side of entertainment, and you'll realize it is so tough. It's a lot of hard decision making skills, so you become a really good negotiator. You learn how to prioritize what's more important and what isn't. And that skill, woof, that's a really important skill to have.
Also, I'll add here, Himanshu, if I remember correctly, you were looking at a master's degree, and remember, Devika has done the bachelor's. So the master's is going to be more advanced, and more into the production side, not covering the basics like what Devika probably started with. So that will be probably the difference, and you can refer to our curriculum. Maybe you'll get a better idea about the difference in both the degrees. Raghav has a question. Did you secure the Alienware job in India or the US?
So I was given an internship opportunity with Rockstar in the US, and most of them, it was half and half, because I applied to both countries. At that point, I didn't know whether I wanted to stay on or go abroad because, of my health and my family stuff. So I kind of applied to both. And at the last moment, I realized I wanted to stay on in Bangalore and work here because of the tech boom that was happening then and still is. So I was in Bangalore. I did that here. But after that, I've worked only abroad, and I've only come back to India now the last 2 years. So I think 8.5, 9 years was abroad. Yeah. That's how it
Himanshu says, in that case, we will miss the basics. Can you shed light on that, or do you want me to take it?
As I said earlier, is if there's any place where you feel like, oh, I haven't learned, step 1, but they're teaching me step 2, they'll teach you step 1. It's inclusive. Like, they will make sure that you get those ropes, you will understand it. They'll teach you whatever basics are missing or what you feel like you don't know. Because they know that people are coming in from all sorts of backgrounds. So even if you're going in for a master's, you still have to have a working understanding. And whether this is not just with Full Sail, this is with most colleges that do master programs, they will have you take an intro class if you say you don't know the intermediate or the advanced level that they're teaching. It's mandatory.
Yeah, so that's what, yeah, exactly. That's what Devika is. They do not assume stuff. I'll give an example for film production. We have a lot of students who come in from engineering backgrounds, right? And with engineering backgrounds, these kids are coming into film production. How can that happen? How can that transition even happen? That happens, and that's easy because Full Sail teaches you. It's not just stuck to the curriculum. The faculty is so helpful. Go to them with the questions, go to them with anything. Once you're in Full Sail, it's never just about the curriculum. Am I right, Devika?
Yeah, absolutely. Totally. It's both. It's everything.
Hi, I have a question. As you answered earlier, so it's related to that only. I have a question that as you completed your course online, so the course is actually on the practical basis as well, like you answered it earlier. But
yeah.
As when there are parts like negotiating, creating like sponsorship proposals, getting a budget or anything, like for creating an event or anything like that, as we are aware, like the WWE next events happening in the campus. In comparison, I'm talking.
Right.
So like,
Right.
how do we actually manage that? Like, you are an exceptional case, as you were already pursuing many jobs, or you were working along, so maybe you have had an
No,
idea how to go. Okay.
I had no jobs in any of these fields.
Okay.
No. My first job was literally right after I graduated. So I actually used the
Okay.
skills I learned, and they taught me all this. Actually, they did. So what they did is, how I learned it was, they did lots of assignments. They made us. They give us projects, and almost like, if you remember the show The Apprentice, where they would be given pitches and been told to like do them,
Hmm.
different business, assignments of, this is what you have, this is your budget, build or whatever, and you have to submit the
Okay.
assignment within 3 days, and you're just like, what? And you've been taught the literature, you've been taught this is what a negotiation is, this is how you do a thing, this is what persuasion is, these are the rules, these are how you whatever. So you've learned all that, but you are thrown right into it to practice it and do it, and you're safe because you're meant to make mistakes, you're meant to laugh at each other, and you all learn from each other. You see your teammates and the other group and what they've done, and everything is spoken and shared together. So it's really fun. Like, you actually learn a lot really quickly, but you're also doing it in a way that it's quite gamified, if that makes sense. So it's a nice blend. And no, I learned it. I learned those skills actually during my course. And yes, when you do it in the real world later, you apply it and you hone it, and you actually see, whoa, okay, this is where, and this is the next level. So then the experience comes in, that you can't replicate WorkX from an educational experience. You get that at work. But the way Full Sail taught me the tools that and the strategies to do it, to use later, that's incredible. That's what I learned that
So you mean to say it was more case study based, like
lots of
you were.
there's lots of assignments, yeah, lots of group
Okay.
activities, a new thing
Okay.
every,
Right.
yeah, a new
and
example.
and with that, like, I would also like to ask, so as the degree itself tells, it's a business of entertainment degree, right? So
Yes.
with entertainment industry, it has to have creativity, right?
Yeah.
At some point, and like something related with that. And in business, like, there needs to be some basic theoretical knowledge and everything. So how good is the blend in the course of all these aspects? Like,
Okay, that's a
could you
great
tell?
question. And I think let's use one creative industry. Actually, this is great because entertainment, yes, 99% of the time will have a creative outlet, but sports comes under the entertainment industry, and there's nothing creative about sports, right? It's a physical sport, and then it's nothing but the biggest business ever of seats, and it's the biggest event outlet. Let's say it that way. So if you use sports as an example, that's the best way for me to explain it, because it's all about money. There's nothing bigger. They only care. If you think about the Super Bowl, all they do is think about ads, placement, and who's going to make them the biggest money that night. Like, that's it. So if you did a degree in entertainment business, you would be perfect for something like that, because you would not only know what the psychology of your financer and your investor is, you will know what the production and how the event also works, what are the stages where it could go wrong, where it could work. You'd also know what is the person in the stadium watching wanting, what do they want as a consumer. So all those three things are taught to you in the program, and it's all business. There's nothing creative about it, but you're promoting an entertainment based platform. And so that,
Right.
yes, very business based, I have to admit. I feel like, for me, and you can take it either way, but it's an entertainment business program. So it's a business program, but catering towards the way that production and the pipelines of the entertainment world go. And
Yeah, I agree.
that's the toughest industry to be in, because it's so quick, it's quite brutal. You have to be on top of your game at all times. There are deadlines all the time. It's so much pressure that if you can thrive there, you can go back to a normal corporate job at like a normal tech company or a bank or
Right.
whatever, no problem. So it's really
Right.
hard. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Agreed. Absolutely. But with that, I'm sorry, I'm taking a
No, no,
little
please,
more
this is what
time.
it's
Yeah.
about. Yeah.
Okay, so like in that case, if I say, okay, so I myself is a musician and I have done my bachelor's in music production and composition. So yes,
Okay.
in Mumbai, and yes, I do have an idea and
Hello?
everything like that. Hello,
Okay.
can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I can hear you.
Can you tell me where did you hear last till?
Mumbai.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, I do have a little idea about how the industry works and everything like that. And when you say like it's purely about the business, the particular degree that is business of entertainment, obviously keeping in mind the entertainment aspect, but how on the basic levels, like in comparison to the business, how different is it from the traditional business degrees? Like if I do an MBA,
So
like
that's a good question. And the main thing comes down to teaching you more about the production side of it. That's the biggest
hmm,
part. So the hierarchy of how a tech corporate company works and then how an entertainment company works is different. So a corporate company has more of a triangle base where you kind of climb up the ranks and it's just that. In
right,
entertainment, more of a circle. So you might even see like, directors kind of going into that role and then coming here and then going being a writer somewhere, some might, and you can move around a lot more because it's more about who is the best for the job at this point, and everyone wants to get the right outcome for that project, and that's where it's different. So it's not as cutthroat, it's more about like an inclusive circle, and you learn things to do more with production, team management, leadership. They teach you in MBAs more about also like the traditional operations, the risk management analysis. It's more for a very traditional, I don't know how to put this across, as more like corporate versus something more fluid. So it actually helps you think faster and become a bit more flexible with your solutions and your strategy. You become an out of the box thinker because you're not going to have the same predictable issues coming in every day like most businesses do. With creative industries and with entertainment, it's always something new and unforeseen because it's always at the brink of innovation. They're always with technology trying something new. Like Netflix didn't even exist a few years ago, and now we're all
right.
obsessed with it. So that way, no one sees it coming. So with this degree, they teach you more about how to be a thinker, a quick thinker. It's more about making you a smarter producer all around, which I
Yeah,
find,
uh,
yeah,
in a way, we are more specialized, like more specified into the business.
troubleshooter, exactly. It gives you more of an expert feel because you're taught those extra things during the classes. And I think the best way for you to get that full answer to what I'm saying is to go through every module of the program that we're looking at, or you're
Right,
looking at.
I have, yes. As you were also telling during your webinar, like there were your classmates who were actually touring with U2, with Linkin Park or some of the great bands like
Yeah,
associated to them. So
yeah,
me, particularly being a music student,
yeah,
would and has an aspiration of
yeah,
doing business in it.
right.
And so my basic thing is I actually do not want to go into very specific thing that is the business of music, but going into a little broader aspect of the industry that is business of entertainment,
That's
just
exactly what,
being,
that's what it is.
yeah,
What it is.
yeah, so yeah,
Yeah. I'm in film. I
so
didn't even go to music. So, and it worked
yeah,
completely for someone like me. So, the, the main thing here is that these are every entertainment business has a production team. That's the main thing. So you're taught about how to produce things in a particular way as opposed to just a generic corporate degree where it's more
mm,
structured, where it's like everyone's in a hierarchy and then there's a boss and then everyone's answerable, and it's not like that
right,
because you become in production and everything's so quick. You have to have the answers yourself. You don't have the time to go ask and have emails and wait for a response. You have to
right,
be a starter and a thinker on your own feet. So everyone's very independent. You have a lot of autonomy and you've been given a lot of responsibility. So you can't like, half your way through it. You have to be very confident. Yeah. Yeah.
right,
Tougher.
perfect, thank you, that was great, thank you.
We have a question from Himanshu. How is
Mhm.
peer-to-peer learning and mentoring supplemented in online courses?
Through lots of forced interaction on message boards, on groups. You'll be put into, these online groups as well. I don't know what they use now, whether it's like a WhatsApp or a Facebook group, or obviously an advanced version of something like that. And there will be forced interaction and also normal interaction, and you guys will automatically become friends. And you'll reach out. People will post questions. You'll respond. Then you'll have a question. You'll put it out there. And mentorship is something, I think, that regardless whether you're in Full Sail or not, mentorship is something you should be very particular about in yourself. You need to find mentors that suit you and that you look up to from your industry, and then reach out to them. So with Full Sail, they already give you a career mentor and they help you with that. But I think it's better to have a bunch of mentors and have that mentor at Full Sail as like your career mentor, and also have 2-3 mentors from the kind of industry you want to go into or the kind of job you're looking for.
I hope that helps, Himanshu. Do we have any more questions?
Yeah, there is one more. I'm
Sure.
sorry. Um,
Sure.
yeah, so yeah, I actually got to know like how online course combats all the challenges. But you obviously had some challenges yourself, like not going and studying on campus, as you said, due to your family and your mother or your health. So like, what do you suggest this particular course, how it is designed in a way, and the modules and the interaction part, and like overall, what do you recommend to go for, like on campus or offline, or oh sorry, online? Can it be dealt that way? Like, could you
Yes,
shed more
honestly,
light on it?
I did both. So I was offline, I was on campus, and then I went
Yeah.
online. So you can do
Okay.
both. If you can, go and try it. So the main reason a lot of people do online is to also save a lot of the money and the living expenses, right? From living in that
Right.
place.
Right.
But if you have the means to do that, of course, by all means, go and experience it. Because like I said, the campus is stunning. The campus is amazing. Orlando is gorgeous. I lived in a place called Whisper Lake Apartments, 5 minutes away, and you can
Okay.
still, that still exists. And
Yeah.
yeah. But if in terms of the online, it's really structured. It's built and designed beautifully. They have every course, everything is outlined. They have assignments, they have videos, they have interactive gaming. They have it's everything you could think of, which is fun but put into a course. And if you've tried any of these online courses on EDX or on Udemy and all that, it's a very advanced, slick looking version of that.
Okay.
Actually, are in the
as
platform.
as it has a touch of live interaction as well, so obviously it is
Mandatory.
way
It's
better.
not something you can skimp off. You can't pass your course or your class if you haven't done your interactive elements, because
So as
that's
you, yeah, yeah, right, sorry, continue.
no. So that's the mix and the blend of making sure that you're also actually active and awake and in the program, as opposed to just being passive and answering blah blah, because you need to be alive. You need to really put your body and your soul into what you're doing, and the interactive stuff, which is mandatory, comes in there.
So as
I
you told, like my question, yeah, sorry, my
No,
question would be
Devika
from
actually needs to
Miss
leave
Anu.
for another webinar, so we need to be brief.
Okay.
We may
Yeah.
have to do this session again, Devika. Amazing questions. They're still pouring in.
Okay.
But just say when you want to leave, because what we'll do is, Devika, can you type in your maybe some where these people can connect with you if they have more questions? Maybe your
Yes.
LinkedIn.
And in fact, we can
Yeah,
do
LinkedIn.
another Q&A. Like, even if I don't have to go through like the full intro bit again, I can just do another Q&A as well, and just give a quicker intro and then start just doing questions.
Yeah.
Sorry, I
Guys,
gave it
you
to you.
can follow Devika on LinkedIn if you have more questions, because I know she has to rush for another webinar. Yeah, Raghav, she did do a bit of
On and off.
online and then on campus. A quick last question, I guess, for now. What is the first position, I guess that means the designation, which you will land after doing this degree? And after
So
that,
I
you
was,
have to sign up.
it depends on where you want to go, and that's a very open contextual question. It depends on which avenue you want to go into. But if you apply for an opening fresher role somewhere in production, let's say, or even in marketing, you'd probably get a coordinator role. You might get an internship depending on the company and how they move, employees up the ranks. But for me, when I joined, I was a marketing intern at Alienware, and then that became an actual marketing position and a branding position after that. You can actually look at my LinkedIn if you want, because then you'll see how I went, how my entire career path kind of went.
I think I need you to, I know I wish I had more time, but it's been amazing. Thank you again from everyone here. There are a lot of thank yous coming in. Right. So guys, you can please feel free to add her on LinkedIn. There's a
Add me,
question.
guys. Yes.
Yeah, please.
It's gonna,
what is this question? As Devika mentioned, getting a demo of online course, is it possible? A demo?
I don't remember, I don't know what they offer now, but I basically was given a bit of a run through about what it looked like because I was very curious at that point. I don't remember really, it was so long ago, but I'm sure that ask for something and just to kind of
write to me. I'll try and find the answer for you. Don't worry about it. Just you have my email ID, everyone here. So if you have any other questions, you can write to me if they're full sale related. If they're related to Devika, shoot it to her. Thank you, guys. Be safe. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you again, Devika. We will get back to you with you again. Thank you.
Yes, guys, add me on LinkedIn and I'll talk to you there and we'll do another Q&A. Thank you.
Thanks.
Good night.
Bye-bye. Good night.